So Will Smith just went on stage and slapped Chris Rock for disrespecting his wife. He told a hair joke. Jada suffers from alopecia. Her hair loss is not her control or not within her control. Many would say the joke was in bad taste and it was disrespectful. Even so, a lot of people are upset that Will Smith would ruin such a important and formal occasion by resorting to violence. I don't really care about what people think about what he did or didn't do or if it was warranted. You can't expect pacifism from people just because you're a pacifist. You don't have to believe in violence for me to believe in violence. Just because a person's a nice guy doesn't mean they need to take shit and resort to non-violence. This is not a time to start quoting Martin Luther King or whoever else represents the pacifism ideology. What I wanted to talk about here and why it's relevant is the traits, the qualities, and the false equivalencies that we see people attribute to men like Will Smith, assuming that pacifism must be his way because he's gentle, because he's patient, because he's not over the top alpha. That's why I keep telling people, you don't know what a man who loves you might do. And whether or not you believe it's good love or toxic love or it's love at all because he's put his hands on somebody and resorted to violence, I don't give a damn about none of that. That's not the conversation I'm having. What I'm trying to get across to you ladies is you don't know what a man is capable of. It's probably not a good idea to assume a man just because he's nice to you and treats you well is going to take shit or refuse to protect you. I've had a lot of conversations with women that said, I just want a man who can protect me. And that's why they gravitate toward men with attitude problems, men with aggression issues, men who kind of step over people's boundaries a little bit, men who are inconsiderate of others because they feel like that toughness, that is masculinity somehow. That roughshod way they handle people means that they'll fight when necessary. Just because a man is gentle doesn't mean he won't resort to violence. We've seen that here. Just because a man is a nice person and generally pretty patient doesn't mean he won't defend his woman's honor or his own. We need to cut a lot of these false equivalencies out, thinking that men who are nice, who are maybe softer spoken, can't or are unwilling to defend themselves when things get thick. Again, I don't care as much about if you agree with violence or disagree with violence or whether or not you thought Will Smith was right or wrong or if you thought he should have hit Algus Alsina or whatever you think about that. That's not my concern. My point is that we've often seen women equate a person like Will Smith as a beta male and often attribute to him a softness that would not be respected. And definitely, we would never expect a person like him with his reputation. Hell, just last month he was on a list of the top lamest actors or famous people, right? And they picked a bunch of people that they considered soft, right, non-violent, and they put a bunch of guys like this on this list: Bow Wow, Nick Cannon, Will Smith. There was a bunch of those guys who appear to be docile or decent enough, nice people who aren't thuggish enough on this list of soft guys, right? I don't understand that. I don't get it. You don't know what a man will do to another man just because of how he treats women. I'm very nice to women, and I've also had a lot of fights. Just because I'm nice to women doesn't mean a man is out of the line of fire if he disrespects me. And certainly if he disrespects my wife, I'm resorting to violence. Violence is the answer. Violence is not off the table ever when it comes to my family or my wife. But most times I'm fairly docile, I'm fairly respectable, I'm pretty much in control of myself. I'm not necessarily so reactive, I'm proactive, I'm not emotional most of the time. I'm very patient, I let people get theirs off. For the most part, fighting is not the answer for me. For the most part, I don't really care to show how big my nuts are to another man. Like, I'm not going to have the dick measuring contest trying to figure out how to prove I'm tough. That doesn't mean violence is off the table. It's never off the table with another man. Some of you women have dismissed a lot of real men because you didn't see aggression issues in him. Some of you are so used to toxic aggression issues and disrespectful men that when you see a man that respects you, you will attribute a softness to him, a beta male quality to him, an idea that you're not safe and you won't be protected because he can't protect you or himself simply because you have not seen him be aggressive with someone, or you don't feel that he would do that. This just goes to show you, among other examples, that you don't know what a person is willing to do, especially for someone they love, whether or not you think this is what love looks like. We see people make these assumptions about people and their propensity for violence in the comment section all the time. Usually if a man is labeled a simp or a beta, He's just talked down to. It's assumed that he won't do shit to anyone. For whatever reason, I'm not understanding why people make that false equivalency. I'm a man to men and I'm a man to women. Those are two different men. Maybe Will Smith didn't punch August Alsina because that was Jada's decision. That was what Jada wanted, and that's what made Jada happy as they were separated. One thing that didn't make Jada happy is being shat on and ridiculed by Chris Rock in the middle of an Oscars. After he had already insulted her in 2016 after Will Smith and Jada Pinkett boycotted the Oscars for being so white. So he picked on her then, and then he picked on her again. Maybe Will Smith just remembered the first disrespect, and the second disrespect was the straw that broke the camel's back. Or maybe this man has a right to protect his wife how he sees fit if he's willing to suffer the consequences. I'm pretty positive Will Smith isn't afraid of catching a simple assault charge or doing 3 hours in jail. He's rich. It's not like he needs a clean record to get a good job. That man could never work again for 2 lifetimes and still be straight. Sometimes people need to get slapped, especially if you're going to disrespect a person's wife. Now, I'm not sure if Chris Rock didn't know about the alopecia or the struggles or emotional battles that maybe Will Smith has had a front row seat of helping his wife get through and deal with. But I know he's chosen to make her the butt of the joke before, and the Smith family has been the butt of a lot of jokes for the last few years ever since Red Table Talk started. We don't get to decide as spectators what somebody's edge is, what's over the top for someone else, when enough is enough for someone else. Of course, pacifists don't believe that violence is the answer to anything. I'm not a pacifist. I'm indifferent to what happened tonight, but it did serve as an example of why I don't play with people and why people shouldn't play with men who they believe to be nice to women or docile or respectful or gentle simply because they don't see what society usually deems as alpha quality in them. And I'm asking a question. Down in the comment section, let me know if you felt disrespected and truly hurt and embarrassed and humiliated by something someone else did who happened to be a man and your man was sitting right there. Would you want him to do something about it? I'm just asking. I'm not here to justify or denounce whatever he did. I'm completely indifferent to it. I'm not a pacifist. I'm from a place where people will go in your shit. That's mouth for the non-urbans. It seems like a lot of people were just upset because of the setting. It was a prestigious event, and it distracted away from all the wonderful accomplishments that we're having, and the important people were there. But beyond that, if a man was humiliating your woman, or if a man was humiliating you and you were with your man, would you want him to do something? Isn't that what women are talking about when they say they want a man to be able to defend them? A man who can stand up for them, make them feel safe, make them feel loved and protected? Sometimes that's a dirty job. And I think that's where that saying comes from. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. Sometimes men have to do dirty, low-down shit, whether or not it's right or legal. So not necessarily about Will Smith and Chris Rock, but about the dynamic of a man protecting his woman. What is too far? I'd like to have that conversation in the comment section. Anyway, follow me at KFIC24 on Instagram. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell to get notified of all my new videos. Go to girltalkwithguys.com to book a phone call or get email advice. I'll get with y'all later.